132 pounds. From Uganda by way of London, now a resident of Las Vegas, the former WBC super featherweight champion of the world, the current WBC #1 contender in that same division, Cornelius Boza-Edwards. Your referee for this bout, Padilla, will now give his instructions.
Okay, you're going to box for 10 rounds. You know the rules of boxing. Avoid using any kinds of foul. Don't throw any punches during the break. Okay, seconds, come on, fight. Seconds, don't put too much grease on the boxing.
Carlos Padilla, the third man in the ring for the Thriller in Manila, will officiate in this one, scheduled for 10 rounds. Here in Nevada, they'll score to the 10-point must system. 3 knockdown rule is in effect. Blaine Dickson in the orange trunks, Boza-Edwards in the white trunks. They're both battling as lightweights tonight. Boza-Edwards 132 this afternoon. Dickson was 134. Dickson coming off a draw against Ricardo Jimenez here in Las Vegas last July 21st. Boza-Edwards coming off a 10-round decision over Roberto Elizondo here in Las Vegas last June 26th. And Dickson goes right to work on Boza-Edwards.
You know, Gary Orchard, his training, told me that Dickson would come out smoking. I didn't believe him because I didn't imagine they would employ that tactic. That's exactly what they're doing.
Now, Boza-Edwards is a straight-up boxer. He likes to bring everything behind the jab. He has great balance. A man with a record of 36-3 with 28 knockouts. He wears down his opponents. He's not what you call a classic one-punch knockout artist, but he has done that on occasion. Blaine Dickson, 17-4-1 with 7 knockouts.
And Dickson landed a big left hook just a moment ago that really got the attention of Edwards. And let's remind the fans that Boza-Edwards is not the hardest fighter in the world to hit. He's hard to knock out, but you can't hit him, and that's what gives a fighter like Dickson, who's a pretty accurate puncher, a chance in this fight.
Dickson, a heavy underdog here with the Wizards of Odds here in Las Vegas. A very nice right-left combination by Boza-Edwards, the southpaw in the white trunks. Lead right hand by Dickson was muffled by Boza-Edwards. Chopping left hook by Dickson, partially on the jaw of Boza.
That's it. Roll away from him.
There you saw some of the defensive abilities of Boza-Edwards as he was able to evade the 2 big sweeping hands by Blaine Dickson in the orange trunks. Dickson flat-footed, feet wide apart, likes to slug.
And I'm surprised. Dixon's been a little wilder in this first round than I anticipated it would be.
Countering a left hand by Corny. Corny pounding the midsection there of Blaine Dickson.
And Dickson himself has gone to the body early in his fight. So we've seen a little bit of everything from these 2 fighters already in this first round. Good uppercut by Edwards.
Now you see Boza-Edwards, who sometimes is perceived as a fancy Dan. He can fight you up close and slug it out with you in the alley. Less than 30 seconds to go in the opening round.
Wild right by Dickson. Boza-Edwards has power, and on the inside, he's a devastating fighter. So he is very good inside, and that's where Dickson has chosen to fight this first round.
I worked the last fight of Boza-Edwards against Elizondo, and that was 10 rounds of hard road for Boza-Edwards, who just drilled Dickson with a left hand. Does it again. But that was back in late June. Round 2. It's scheduled for 10. Boza-Edwards in the white. Blaine Dickson in the orange trunks with the black trim.
And they're obviously very concerned in Edwards' corner that Dickson will create some problems with his head inside. And the way Dickson is fighting, that is a concern, I would think, on their part.
Interesting that Mickey Duff was talking mostly about defense after that first round, not offense.
Well, that's the problem with Boza-Edwards. If he has one, it's that he can be hit. And a left hook by Dickson just found its mark a little while ago.
Al, how did you score the first round?
Well, I gave a very slight edge to Boza-Edwards because Dickson did good work early in the round, but Edwards dominated the latter part. I think that round could have been scored really anyway.
3 weeks ago here on ESPN on Saturday Night at the Fights, we saw the WBC champion Rafael Bazooka Limon with a late rally beat Chung Il Choi to make a successful defense of the title that Boza-Edwards wants back.
And we should point out at this point that Blaine Dickson went 10 rounds with Ramon Navarrete, the same man who, of course, knocked out Boza-Edwards. So he says he'd much rather fight Edwards, Dickson said, than Navarrete.
And Dickson's gone 10 rounds or more 11 times in his 22 professional fights.
Dickson showed us something he tends to do, and there it was again. He tends to slap with the right hand. It's always been a problem with him. He doesn't throw it straight and with as much impact as he should have.
Right to the body by Dickson, but back comes Boza with a left to the midsection of Blaine. Less than a minute to go in round number 2. Countering left hand by Boza-Edwards in the white trunk.
And this, like the first round, very combative.
Coming in.
Dickson smartly using the left jab and then doubling with the left hook. So you can see that he has some ring skills in there.
Good left hook by Blaine Dickson. Less than 30 seconds to go in the round, and he does it again. A big left hand to the body by Boza-Edwards. A reminder to Dickson that Boza can work the midsection as well as the head. That left hand, a whack, lots of noise by Boza-Edwards, little impact. We'll return with round 3. Blaine Dickson, scheduled for 10. That's Dickson in the orange trunks. Boza-Edwards over the first 2 rounds, establishing his boxing ability and his power.
And Dickson has found a home for the left hook. He landed 2 early in this round now. It's been his big punch in this fight.
Good countering left hand there by Boza-Edwards. Dickson is determined to make Boza-Edwards earn anything he gets here tonight. He said he's not going to walk over me. Blaine, who has that name tattooed on his left calf.
And these first 2.5 rounds have been good evidence of that. Dickson is really fighting Edwards on relatively even terms. Maybe the sharper punches to Edwards, but Dickson has landed a lot of his own.
Dickson missing there, short with his punches, but he takes a right hand. Dickson hit Boza-Edwards with a sharp right hand, and back comes Corny with a flurry.
Both fighters trading inside, and this was the kind of fight I thought Dickson couldn't possibly win.
We're halfway through round 3.
But he's waging a good battle inside against Edwards.
Big left hand by Boza-Edwards, best punch of the fight, right on the noggin.
A lot of action from these 2 lightweights, and inside Dickson, while he took a big left hand from Boza-Edwards, has been dishing out his own punishment as well.
Dickson allowing Boza-Edwards here to tee off on him. Less than a minute to go in round 3. Dickson coming back. Chopping right hook by Boza-Edwards to the head of Dickson. How's this for action? When was the last time there was a clinch in this fight? They are really pounding each other. Dickson is hurt. He's sagged in his corner. Corny knocks him down with seconds to go in the round. He got up at 4, and he takes the 8 count from Carlos Padilla as Boza-Edwards chopped him down like a tree. Dickson on the take. Takes a big left hand on the head. He's covering up and he's wobbly. Corny going for broke. Going for the knockout. Dickson on his heels. Sagging against the ropes. Boza-Edwards going for the knockout. Second corner and just chopped him down. Blaine got up at 4, took the 8 count, and just about survived the round. So we're now in the 4th. Boza-Edwards let go with the power in round 3.
And one of the voices you heard in that corner was Jesse Reed, of course, a well-known trainer that we've seen who handles Roger Mayweather. He was brought in for this fight specifically to help Dickson fight Boza-Edwards. Right now, Dickson having all kinds of trouble, and it's because he's inside mixing it up with Boza. I wondered before the fight if Dickson could handle Edwards inside, and I didn't think it was a good strategy for him to be there. In the first couple rounds, he fought relatively even, but then in the third, the power of Edwards just took over.
Boza-Edwards with 28 knockouts and his 36 wins. He has only 3 defeats. The former champion, now the #1 contender, looking to polish off Blaine Dickson before he takes on Bazooka Limon. Blaine got away with a low blow there. Dickson tried to lead right, and we have one of our few clinchers.
And when was the last time Boza-Edwards was ever involved in either A, a dull fight, or B, one in which he wasn't sorely tested? I can't remember the last time.
Halfway through the round. Mickey Duff says that Boza-Edwards is probably at peak condition 85% of the time because he's constantly in training.
And a left hand by Edwards, very, very low. Padilla does not give him a warning. I thought he had a good shot to see that punch.
Sharp left hand there by Boza-Edwards, and he does it again, right on the head of Dickson. Couple of jabs, keeping Dickson away. Less than a minute to go in the round, and after that knockdown in round 3, Dickson looks like he is somewhat diminished by the insistent power of Boza-Edwards.
And Edwards working the body very effectively here in this round, sometimes below the waist, sometimes above it.
Countering left hand by Boza-Edwards, another left hand by Boza-Edwards, both on the chin of Blaine Dickson. Less than 30 seconds to go in the 4th. So Dickson battles back here in round number 4. He has lightweights tonight. Boza-Edwards in the white trunks, Blaine Dickson in the orange. The round before, in the 3rd, Dickson was down briefly, got up at 4, took the 8 count. And in the 4th round, although Boza-Edwards was once again the dominant fighter, Dickson certainly didn't look like a hurt fighter. We went to the corner of Boza-Edwards between rounds and recorded these comments from Mickey Duff.
You're trying to handle one long right hand. And then look to attack him, and then you can unload. But the place you'll hurt him is there. So Corny, don't punch straight because you get watered in low. Punch up. Punch up. Back up. Punch up.
In that last exchange, a right-left combination by the southpaw, Boza-Edwards. And just before that, Dickson slammed Boza with a pretty good right hand.
Well, he's trying desperately to land that lead right. Of course, a good weapon often against southpaws, but Edwards has been able to avoid it pretty well in this fight.
Neither fighter has been cut. Dickson was down in the 3rd.
Good left hook by Blaine Dickson. And another one. And he has found a home for that punch as Boza-Edwards drops his right hand.
And Boza comes back with a left hand halfway through this, the 5th round.
And for Dickson, a chance here to clear the cobwebs. He's had a pretty good 5th round.
A right-left combination by Boza-Edwards. Dickson now trying to fight Boza at long range. He got chopped up on the inside in the 3rd round.
And Edwards before with another punch a little bit low, and again Padilla not in a position to see it.
Pretty brisk round. We're less than a minute to go here in the 5th. The pace remarkably quick through 5 rounds.
And conditioning will become a key factor as this fight wears on.
Now the clubbing left hand by Boza-Edwards, and that made Blaine Dickson capable to take a couple steps backward. Less than 30 seconds to go in the round.
Dickson able to get that left hook in again after a right hand, but Edwards counters very nicely with a right hand. A good right hook by Edwards.
Dixon takes a right hook on the head. He seems to be pawing now with his gloves. Less contact with Boza-Edwards. Edwards with a right uppercut. We'll continue with more Saturday night at the fight.
As we look into Boza-Edwards' corner and we get ready for round 6 action.
And Dickson opens up with a left hook to the head of Boza-Edwards. Now remember, Dickson down in the 3rd. Hasn't done too badly in the last couple of rounds, although he really hasn't been able to mount a sustained attack.
Well, he's come back, and there they traded about 5 jabs back and forth. So this has been a very combative fight, and Dickson is still in this fight. And I've got Boza-Edwards winning this fight at this point, 49-46. And, of course, these rounds, some of them were pretty difficult to score, but certainly not the one when he was knocked down, Dickson was, in the 3rd round.
A low blow there by Boza-Edwards, and a warning from Carlos Padilla, the referee.
Well, he gave Dickson a warning for holding and Boza-Edwards a warning for low blows. And if there's a trademark of the junior lightweights like Edwards is, it's that they have had some real brawls in which the rules are not always followed.
And we point out the pace continues to be quick. We're in the 6th. And that is a hallmark of most fights involving Boza-Edwards. When you take on Corny, you're going to attract me.
And it's a good thing Dickson is in good shape. Boza-Edwards guilty of holding and hitting. No warning from Padilla there. Carlos Padilla, a well-known in boxing trades as a ref who will let fighters fight and who is very slow to take a point away or make a caution.
A walloping right hook by Boza-Edwards, and he brings the left hand right to the head of Blaine Dickson. Dickson with a right hand. Boza with a countering right hook, and Dickson is guilty of putting his weight on the neck of Boza-Edwards.
Good left hook by Dickson. And Edwards comes back with a combination, but Blaine Dickson still has some power.
Right hand by Dickson. And now they're at close quarters again, as they were earlier in the fight. And you remember that's when Corny was really effective.
And in this round, Boza-Edwards has landed some good shots, but Dickson is right there, desperately trying to set him up for a straight right hand.
I'm sure a very interested observer in our audience, Rafael Bazooka Limon, the champion, was expected to defend against Boza-Edwards. And he is seeing Blaine Dickson come on here in round 6.
Another big overhand right by Dickson.
We'll continue with more if you keep it where it is. Edwards. Between rounds, we listened in on the corner of Boza-Edwards. Mickey Duff was there along with George Francis.
As soon as he throws, you've got to roll and then punch and back him up again. Don't lean back when he throws. Get down. Head down. Scared you get up, you'll run into a head as well. Head down, tucked up, and rock, and back him right up. Come on. Test him for the whole round now, from the word go.
So both George Francis and Mickey Duff employing Boza-Edwards to press on here, not to really take anything for granted against Blaine Dickson, who was down in the third, but you wouldn't know it in the sixth. That was an action-packed round.
Well, despite the fact that Boza-Edwards may indeed be ahead by perhaps a slight or maybe a big margin in this fight, I would have it a slight margin. The fact is he's taking a lot of punishment, and I see some blood over the left eye of Boza-Edwards.
Yes, he's cut actually on the right eyebrow, Al. So we have our first blood here, and Boza-Edwards cut on the right eyebrow. So turn of events, and that blood is flowing into the right eye of Boza-Edwards. You remember that he was badly cut over his left eye when Navarrete took advantage of that with right hooks and took the title away from him. And Dickson's
blasting him with left hooks.
And Boza-Edwards, realizing that he's going to try and take advantage of that cut, is backing up Blaine Dickson with a barrage. It is Boza-Edwards who is cut, but it is Boza-Edwards who is pressing the attack. A right hand by Dickson and a left hook. Less than a minute to go in the round. Dickson sees an opportunity here, but Boza-Edwards feels the best defense is an offense. There's a left hand and a right hand by Boza-Edwards. Boza with a shot to the stomach, another shot to the stomach, both with left hand.
And Blaine Dickson, who was in control early in this round, now in serious trouble against the ropes. That cut has really awoken Boza-Edwards.
They are trading a big left hand by Boza. Dickson is bobbing and weaving, but Boza-Edwards, who was cut early in the round, is no doubt taken over. He keeps wiping the blood away from his right eye. Dickson with the right and the left. Dickson coming on. Dickson takes the left hand. What a round.
This is vintage Boza-Edwards. If this fight looks like every other Boza-Edwards fight, it's because it is.
Last two rounds, Dickson has been very effective.
And if you were at home, how would you score that last round? Incredible. Both fighters waging an unbelievable battle. And, of course, that cut becomes a tremendous factor. And Dickson wants to continue to land those left hooks. That's his biggest punch in this fight.
A right hand by Dickson. Mickey Duff told Corny, he said, honestly, it's only a nick. Well, it doesn't look like a nick when that much blood is flowing into his eye. It's been reopened here early in round 8 by Dickson.
And I still have Boza-Edwards ahead in this fight by 2 rounds. I scored the last round even, despite the fact that Dickson opened that cut. Boza-Edwards came back. Big left hook by Dickson. And if he keeps landing that punch, Sal, this fight could be over due to that cut.
And the blood is flowing once again from the right eyebrow of Boza-Edwards. An amazing round, the previous round, the 7th. As you said, Al, how do you score it?
So difficult. Both fighters just exchanging punches. There's a right hand by Dickson.
So Dickson presses on. The early part of the fight belonged to Boza-Edwards, but Dickson came on in the 6th and 7th. We're in the 8th. Right hand by Dickson. Left uppercut by Dickson. And for all of his barrage, Boza-Edwards is still in there.
Well, but I see some signs of fatigue on the part of Edwards. He has slowed his pace considerably, but now he comes back with a two-fisted barrage.
Boza-Edwards staying close to Dickson. He doesn't want him to wind up with the left hand to inflict any more damage on that cut right eyebrow. Dickson can't find any room. It's like fighting Boza-Edwards in a telephone booth. Boza-Edwards with a left hand, playing Dickson with a left hook. Less than a minute to go in the round.
And the flow of blood appears to be relatively weak now as Edwards backs Dickson against the corner. Good right hand.
And the pace remains furious. Right hand by Dickson. Left hook by Dickson on the head of Boza-Edwards, and he brought a right hand behind it as well. Blaine Dickson trying to pull a Silky Sullivan here, trying to come from behind. He was down in the 3rd round.
And now Dickson showing signs of fatigue as Boza-Edwards comes back toward the end of this round.
Boza-Edwards and Blaine Dickson. And Edwards guilty of a low Las Vegas, Sal Marciano with Al Bernstein. Boza-Edwards in the white trunks was cut 2 rounds ago in the 7th. Blaine Dickson trying to take advantage by shooting left hooks. He reopened the cut in round 8. They kept reassuring Corny in the corner that it's only a nick, but the point of the matter is that blood did impair his vision. And Boza-Edwards continues to press the attack, figuring this is the best way to keep Dickson away.
And I've got Boza-Edwards ahead by 1 point and 1 point only in this fight. I thought the last round I gave to Dickson despite the late charge by Boza-Edwards, because Dickson had done so much damage early in the round. And believe me, the scoring of this fight will be interesting if, in fact, it goes 10 rounds.
The 6th, 7th, and 8th rounds a treat, and you've seen it on Saturday night at the fight.
You just wonder how many more of these kind of battles Boza-Edwards can stand. He has been in so many difficult fights like this.
Well, the odds makers didn't believe that Dickson could go 8 rounds. That's how much of a heavy underdog he was. When we checked the board, it was a 7-1 underdog against Boza-Edwards, 2-1 that he couldn't go 8.
Well, he went 10 with Navarrete and 12 with Camacho, so he's been in with some good southpaws, just like Boza-Edwards.
And the 2 major events in this fight, Dickson down in the 3rd round, Boza-Edwards cut in the 7th.
Boza-Edwards continues to use his jab, which he untracked early in the round, trying to keep Dickson at bay with it.
And now, for the first time, the pace has slowed down.
Yes, indeed, and both fighters taking a well-deserved breather here in the 9th round. I don't know how they could do otherwise after those last 3 rounds, which, as you're fond of saying, was the Triple Crown, all run and won.
Boza-Edwards going to work again on the head of Blaine Dickson.
And Edwards in this round, Sal, has kept Dickson off with his right jab very effectively.
And once again, Dickson committing the mortal sin of being cornered by Boza-Edwards as he was in the 3rd round, and he's on the take.
And Edwards continues to use those short, quick punches inside.
They've done a terrific job on the cut. In this round, the cut on the right eyebrow, Boza-Edwards did not reopen. We'll be back with the 10th and final round in this brutal fight after this timeout. For 9 rounds, they have been valiant. Blaine Dickson down in the 3rd. Boza-Edwards cut in the 7th. They told Blaine between rounds to go for broke. Let's listen to his trainer, Jesse Reed.
This is where we got to gut. You hear me? We got to gut it. So don't give him the later rounds. Okay. This is the last round. Last round. Let's win it. Let's win this round. We need to just go out there and keep on the outside and win this round. Okay. Here, take this. I want to. We want this round.
And we're in the midst of the final 3 minutes, non-stop action. And Boza-Edwards once again has that cut in his right eyebrow reopened. He was okay in the 9th round, but here in the 10th, Dickson has reopened it, and he just drilled Boza-Edwards with a right hand.
And it was Edwards who came out smoking in this round, but Dickson has come back. And Dickson will be looking to land the left hook, again trying to open up that cut.
Going into the 10th, how do you have it scored?
I have it scored 87-85 for Boza-Edwards. And of course, that's unofficial. We don't know how the officials are seeing it. This is a close fight any way you slice it.
So Blaine Dickson, not a piece of cake for Boza-Edwards here in Las Vegas tonight, halfway through the 10th and final round.
Both fighters can hardly keep their hands up, but they're still punching. By Blaine Dickson, and that cut still dripping blood into the right eye of Cornelius Boza-Edwards.
One of the most entertaining fights here on ESPN in our 3-year history.
An incredible match. And as we're in this 10th round, you still get the feeling someone could go down.
backed up Blaine Dickson again. And Dickson here in the 10th hasn't been able to match him punch for punch.
Well, Dickson has landed some big shots, but Boza-Edwards, it seems to me, has landed more punches here in this 10th round.
Give credit to Blaine Dickson for coming back from a knockdown in the 3rd. Give credit to Boza-Edwards, who has battled with a cut over his right eyebrow since the 7th round.
And back in the 3rd, it looked like this fight might be over, but it's going 10.
Final seconds of the fight. The red lights are on.
You can see Boza-Edwards using a lot of combinations inside. He landed a lot of punches in that 10th round, though Dickson may have landed a few of the harder blows.
Read the scores of this great fight. We have a unanimous decision. Judge Jerry Roth scores the fight 98-92. Judge Dave Moretti 98-91. Judge Chuck Minker 96-93. All in favor of the winner, Cornelius.
When they read about it in the paper tomorrow morning, it's going to sound, or look like, I should say, a one-sided fight with the scores 98-92, 98-91, 96-93. But you and I know it was closer to that, and you saw it on Saturday night at the fight.